I was born April 15th, 1945 in Mitchell, South Dakota. I have two sisters, one that's older and one that's younger. I spent a lot of time in band. That was my main organization that I was involved in. And I started playing in the band probably when I was in fourth grade, and then we got into a regular band by the time I was fifth grade. My father wanted to farm his parents' old place, and so in the summertime we would move out and live with my grandparents out in the country, and then in the wintertime we would move back into town and go to town school instead of country school. And so we lived in both the country and town. My first job that paid was that I had to be driven down to my dad's cousin's place. He had me doing all kinds of things. I scooped manure and gathered eggs, although they found out I wasn't a good match for the hen house. The chickens tend to get scared when I came in the chicken house. And so they didn't let me do that. We were kind of on a subsistence farm, and so we sold eggs and we milked cows and sold cream. And one of the project was to run the cream separator. It was an old hand crank cream separator that was bolted to the floor in the pantry at our house, the farmhouse. And you pour the milk in the top, and there was two spouts. Milk came out one spout, and the cream came out the other spout. And we'd sell the cream, sell the eggs in these big 30 dozen crates. And so had to do a lot of that kind of stuff, carry water to the critters. Sometimes I ended up herding sheep. We had sheep and cows. And so there was just always something to do. I drove tractor all day on the farm and drug corn and mowed hay and followed the combine around with a flare box wagon. 50 cents an hour, big money. My first car of my own was a 1950 Chevy. It cost $125, and it needed a little work, so my dad and I worked on it, and that's the car I had all the way through the rest of high school and into college until I got married. My mother was a night nurse at the hospital, and most of the time she worked the 11 to 7 shift, and so she wasn't home, and when she was home she was sleeping. So at that time it was pretty uncommon for both parents to be working. My father, of course, was a farmer. I always had an interest in engineering, and in high school I took a lot of mechanical drawing classes. I really enjoyed that, so it just seemed like a natural fit to get into engineering. I majored in mechanical engineering. 1965, September 1st, I married my childhood sweetheart, and so we went together for a couple years in high school, and I went away to college, and she finished high school and then went a year of college, and then we got married and lived off campus for a while and then lived on campus for a while as married students. And so that's when I got married. My first job out of college was with the tractor company, Oliver Tractor Company, and I was there for 3 years. I worked mostly on transmissions and axles, and after that I worked at the Bobcat Company about 10 years on the drafting board, and after that I worked into management, where I was in charge of other engineers that were doing the same kind of work that I had. Holder of 8 patents from the work that I did in engineering, and most of that was with the Bobcat Company, and we were #1 in the industry for a long time when I was there, from 1970 through 2003. I had 2 daughters and a son. I've lived in Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, and in the wintertime, now we go to Arizona, so we live in Arizona in the wintertime.